Hi, we are here looking at how to do a paragraph for Macbeth. So I'm going to give you an example from QCAA in terms of their question. So it was analyze the significance of the murder of Macduff's household in the play. So let's have a look at their thesis because you can't write a good paragraph without knowing what your thesis is. And then we'll break down their paragraph and then I'll give you a structure that I recommend. But look, really it's just about making sure you give evidence and explain it. Give evidence and explain it. So let's go through. So here's their introductory paragraph. The thesis is in yellow, and the yellow bit is good. So basically, they've got us straight into the topic. The murder of Macduff's household is significant in prompting the Thane of Fife to slay Macbeth and restore natural order. So one of the reasons is Macduff wants to kill him for revenge. However, this is its main thesis. Its more telling impact, however, is to engage audiences in the consequences of despotic rule beyond Macbeth's rise and fall as a monarch. Macbeth's merciless decision to kill a castle of innocence marks a chilling shift in the protagonist's character. So basically saying that it shows the impact of ruling inappropriate rule, like being a tyrant basically, and then it also shows that he kills a castle of innocence, so it shows a chilling shift in his character. This bluey green stuff, we'll say it's blue, is kind of signposting, but it is also building on the thesis. So it kind of does both things at the same time, which is nice. Okay. If you are going to signpost, this is the best way to do it because it's just elaborating on your thesis and gives you a really strong progression into your paragraphs. So we have here, he transitions from ambitious but hesitant murderer to a ruthless and decisive tyrant, and in a play that centers on kings and power, so that's the concept, kings and power, we're going to really be talking about the ruling, despotic rule, kings and power, so what it means to be a ruler at that time. That is the concept that this essay is going to focus on. The slaughter of Macduff's household extends the audience sympathies. So we've got links to the Jacobean audience of this is what they want to do, of suddenly they're now being sympathetic to not Macbeth, who is the main character, which is a normal thing to happen, but now we are being sympathetic to the people he is ruling because he is ruling as a bad ruler. We also have additionally, event calls into question the actions of honest men, who leave faith and guidance. So we also, what is really interesting here is we're going to look also at Macduff and the fact that he left his family. Why did he do that? Possibly the essay could look into the sacrifice of it is more important to sacrifice family for country because that's the greater good. Okay, that's a potential look at things, but basically it's alluding to but without telling us. I'm just looking at the first paragraph, so let's look at their first paragraph. Now, the first paragraph always must be like a mini thesis. It must be a section of your thesis, some part of it that you are going to elaborate on. So in this one, we see in the plain sequence of murder, the killing of arguably is the most shocking. So this is linking to the part where it says a chilling shift. Okay, so we see a clear connection. That's the thesis. This is the paragraph about the chilling shift, okay? Left alone, Lady Macduff and her family servants pose no threat to Macbeth, and yet inexcusably, the king orders them to be savagely slaughtered. So this is evidence. We're starting strong with some evidence. They are alone, no threat, he orders them to be killed. We also have judgment. It's inexcusable. How dare a king order the killing of innocents? Savagely slaughtered. We have a direct quote, so we go there. The audience, so we have reference to the values of the time, knows the protagonist to be a man who deliberates, even when provoked more obviously by the witch's prophecy. So it's linking back to the fact that Macbeth, he deliberates, he questions, he's like, maybe I should kill the king, maybe I won't, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And his wife and his own vaulting ambition, another direct quote that's been embedded into it. However, when told, beware the Thane of Fife, this is the apparitions, remember the witches are telling them. In learning Macbeth has fled, viewers see Macbeth act with unprecedented conviction. So suddenly he goes from a deliberate, like, oh, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, to suddenly, that's it, I'm killing his family. He's fled, I'm doing it. He's become very deliberate and, what's the word? He just acts as without thinking, sort of thing. So this is all, we have evidence and explanation, okay? And it's all kind of linking to the same sort of thing. We have Macbeth, what happens to Lady Macduff. We then have the audience's perspective of Macbeth. So we have Macbeth. This is so confusing. But anyway, keep going. The audience knows about Macbeth. So we've got links to values and then his wife and vaulting ambition. And now he's changed his character. This is what it means for the play. Where his conscience now we go on to the next bit of evidence, where his conscience hindered Duncan's murder, to a lesser extent the assassination of Banquo. He now kills swiftly out of spite and vengeance to punish Macduff and all of Fife. In one of the shortest monologues, so here we have aesthetics coming in. So monologue, it's a short monologue of the play. The traitor's household is immediately sentenced to a brutal death. I have to go shut the door. Just give me a second. Sorry, girls, I can only do this in one take because I've got to go to camp. So I'm trying really hard to do this fast. We have the play, shortest monologue of the play. The traitor's household is sentenced to death. The soldiers will give edge to the sword, his wife, his babe, and all unfortunate souls. So that's a direct quote. Personally, I think that's too long. But hey, if you've memorized it, good on you. I memorized this one when I was in grade 12. Why can't you? No, it's not expected, and do your very best. But here we say the terrible force of this act is not lost on the audience either. So there's an explanation of what it means. So previously, we are flowing in from previously when he killed Duncan, when he killed Banquo, he was kind of a bit like, maybe, maybe not. But with Macduff, he just does it out of spite and vengeance. He does it automatically. We have a little bit, like, to be perfectly honest, it would have been nice if they'd talked a bit about imagery or some sort of aesthetic that's a little bit more deeper than monologues, but hey, at least they tick a box. So we can move on and see that. Now, the last little bit we see in green, while Macbeth, once killed and henchmen killed for him, he now mobilizes an armed guard to massacre an unprotected castle in his own kingdom. Although the protagonist's success held the audience interest, fate and fortune-telling can no longer excuse his actions. So previously we're like, oh, it was fate, it was fortune-telling. It wasn't his fault. The women did it. Whereas now this action shows that Macbeth has changed and he is now a merciless killer. We don't like him as an audience, okay? The Jacobean audience would not like him. In murdering Macduff's household, Macbeth's reign is so apparent that viewers know justice can only be served when he is defeated. So we're coming back to this idea of power and what it means to be kings and the type of rule, and that the only way a king like that should be treated is to be killed, basically, because he is abhorrent. We no longer like him. The audience hates him. He should die. Okay, so that's an example, but this is just how I would recommend you try. Okay, when you're in the exam, I don't want you stressing, oh, I have to do this, I have to be perfect. I just want you to get ideas on the page. But if you were to structure it, I would structure it in the following way. Big sentence, you just start off with one aspect of the thesis that you're going to focus on, okay? So if you've got your big thesis, you go, okay, I'm going to look at this shocking part, or I'm going to look at how he is a bad ruler, or I'm going to look at how he's represented as, I'm going to focus in on Macduff and how he left his family alone, because that's a bit random, okay? So that's one aspect of the thesis. Then the first bit of evidence, I really recommend you start with values, attitudes, and beliefs, so the character or characters in relation to Jacobean times. So just go straight there and go, according to the Jacobean values of the time, Macbeth did this, which meant that they would have seen this as this. Or the witches, which is supernatural, associated with the devil, and it was a religious Christian values at the time, the audience would have been shocked by his connection to the witches, that sort of thing. And I don't know, whatever the question is. Then you explain the audience. So basically you may do that within your evidence, or at least at the end of your sentence of the witches were there and they made Macbeth want to kill people. Then you go, the audience would have. This shows that the audience that. Okay, and you make a very clear connection of this is how it impacts the Jacobean audience, okay? Don't really care about any other audience at the moment. I really just care about the Jacobean audience. So the more times you can use the word Jacobean audience in your wonderful paragraph, the better. Maybe not like every 2 sentences, but just at least once a paragraph. The next bit of evidence I'd love you to do is to look at the aesthetics. So the aesthetics include symbolism, imagery, soliloquy, juxtaposition, or rhyme. So in relation to that topic, what is a symbol that connects to it? Or does it if you're looking at Banquo and Macbeth, they juxtapose each other. Okay, so elaborate on that juxtaposition. How does that connect to the audience and to the thesis? Okay, so what does it make the audience think? How does it connect to making a deeper meaning for the audience? So if it's a symbolism of blood, this shows the audience that he feels guilty. Okay, and he realizes that, but he still soldiers on and continues on this path because he knows he cannot wash away his guilt. Okay, so you go through with that, and then the final thing is you give me evidence about the concept through character events. So you might look at, if you're looking at loyalty, you might look at the concept in relation to how, I don't know, Macbeth at the start is loyal, and yet the curse of the Thane of Cawdor corrupts his mind along with the witches, and he is no longer loyal, and he acts with selfish intent, and this selfish intent causes his downfall. Okay, so you give me something about the concept through character or event. So this event happened and this relates to the concept, or this character does this relates to the concept, and you explain the meaning. So always, always, always explain the meaning. These are the points where you get marked. If you just put evidence in, you are not going to do well. The more times you can put in a sentence after the evidence that says this means, this shows, the audience now believes, anything at all like that, you are going to get higher marks. And then finally, this is optional, completely optional, link it back to your thesis. But if you don't have time, just move on to your next paragraph. All I need is evidence of this, this, and this, and you explaining what it means to the audience at the time, okay? Please, girls, sorry it went over, but I hope that helps. And keep practicing. Love you. Bye.